It was raining that night, cold, merciless rain that painted the city streets with the glistening shimmer of sorrow, when Allah, a kind-hearted but struggling orphan girl, stumbled upon a man lying motionless by the roadside, his shirt soaked in blood and his breath faint like a whisper fading into the storm. Her trembling hands froze for a moment, but her heart, a heart that had known more pain than peace, pushed her forward, forcing her to kneel beside him, pressing her small hands against his wound, whispering desperately, "Please, hold on." Though she had no idea who he was or why he was there. The man's eyes, deep in stormy gray, fluttered open for a second before closing again as thunder roared overhead. In her panic, she remembered an old orphanage tale Sister Mary once told her that true compassion could breathe life back into the dying if given through a pure-hearted kiss. It sounded foolish, childish, but as the man's pulse slowed under her touch, Allah did the unthinkable. She leaned down and kissed him, her lips trembling as if sealing a prayer between life and death, and miraculously, his body jerked. A gasp of air escaped his lungs, and he coughed violently. Alive again. Shocked, Allah cried in disbelief, clutching him as if holding on to fate itself, unaware that this man, this stranger, was Damien Cade, the cold-hearted, untouchable CEO of Cade Corporation, a man whose empire stretched across cities, feared and admired by many, but known to be a man without emotion, without mercy, and without love. When he woke up hours later in her small, dimly lit attic room, smelling of medicine and rain, confusion clouded his sharp mind. He remembered nothing beyond the sound of her voice and the warmth of that kiss that pulled him back from the edge of death. Allah, embarrassed yet relieved, told him she found him injured and only wanted to help. He studied her quietly, his icy demeanor melting for the first time in years as he saw the innocence in her eyes. Days turned into weeks. He recovered under her care, hiding his identity as he tried to understand why this poor, humble girl's presence made his heart race in ways boardroom deals never could. But Isla's life was far from peaceful. She was being harassed by the cruel landlord, Mr. Grayson, who wanted her small room vacated for his illegal business, and she had debts from her late mother's surgery still haunting her. One evening, as Damien helped her fix a broken window, his mask slipped. Allah accidentally discovered his engraved gold watch, a rare model only billionaires could afford, and his real name etched behind it. She was stunned but said nothing, respecting his silence, though deep down, her heart trembled with fear. What was a man like him doing bleeding in the streets? Damien, however, couldn't forget the moment she saved him. He was determined to know who had ordered the hit that nearly killed him. Through secret phone calls and encrypted messages, he learned the betrayal came from within. His own board members had tried to eliminate him for control of the company. As he dug deeper, he realized Isla's late mother once worked for his father's foundation and was dismissed after being falsely accused of embezzlement. The guilt weighed heavy, and Damien vowed to make things right. But when he tried to tell her the truth, fate struck again. His enemies discovered he was alive and sent men to finish the job. One night, as Allah returned from the pharmacy, she found the attic door smashed, Damien gone, and blood stains on the floor. Terrified, she ran into the streets, screaming his name, only to be cornered by masked men who demanded to know where the CEO was hiding. She didn't understand why they called him that, but before they could harm her, a convoy of black SUVs screeched to a halt, and Damien, alive but wounded again,
"Touch her, and I'll bury your entire legacy," he growled, pulling her behind him as his security team took the men down. Only then did Allah realize who he truly was, the Damien Cade. Heartbroken and confused, she confronted him later in tears. "You lied to me. You're the CEO everyone fears." He took her hands gently, his voice trembling for the first time. "But because you're pure, no one's ever done that." Her anger melted into silence, and though her heart still hurt, she couldn't deny the strange, fated bond between them. As days passed, Damien publicly exposed his traitorous board, regaining control of his empire, but he couldn't rest until he found a way to repay Isla's kindness. Without her knowing, he bought her debts, restored her mother's name, and rebuilt the orphanage she grew up in. Yet, Allah still felt distant, believing their worlds were too far apart. One rainy night, the same kind of storm that brought them together, Damien appeared outside her little home with flowers drenched in rain and eyes full of unspoken emotion. Allah, he said softly, you saved my life with your first kiss. Let me spend mine proving it wasn't an accident, it was destiny. She tried to resist, tears streaming down her face, whispering, I'm just a poor girl, Damien. But he stepped closer, cupping her face. You're the richest person I've ever known in heart, in courage, in soul. You gave me life when I didn't deserve it. Then, before her heart could shatter further, he kissed her again, not as a dying man this time, but as a man reborn. The city lights blurred around them, thunder rumbling like applause, as the storm washed away their past pain. But the story didn't end there, because the next morning, a letter arrived at Damien's office with a red wax seal. Inside was a photograph of him and Allah together, with a single line scrawled in ink, you were supposed to die, but she changed the game. Suddenly, the entire mystery deepened. Who knew about that night? Who had been watching? And what did they mean by change the game? Damien's instincts kicked in. His enemies were still out there, and Isla's life was now in danger because she had interfered with fate itself. Determined to protect her, he moved her into his penthouse under the guise of being his personal nurse, though soon everyone in the company whispered about the mysterious woman who made the cold CEO smile. But Allah began to feel watched. Shadows followed her, whispers echoed in corridors, and one night she found a small charm hidden in her bag, a heart pendant identical to one her mother once wore before she died. When Damien saw it, his face went pale. His late mother used to wear the same pendant too. Could there be a connection between their families? Desperate to uncover the truth, but with the haunting promise of fate's unfinished game, a love born in rain, tested by danger, and destined to challenge the very boundaries between life, death, and the miracles that bind two souls forever.